It simply doesn't get any better than this when it comes to the high echelon of sports car racing in North America. You combine the intense nature of the new GTP generation of cars, and you add to that a location simply known as the World Centre of Racing, and you've got an exciting mix of both location and machinery. We're under starters orders for round 3 of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League for some exciting on-track action at the Daytona International Speedway road course. And you'll see it all here live in sound and vision on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Alex Goldschmidt, and alongside me in the booth today is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daytona itself is well known for its documented challenges, so let's find out a little bit more about this Floridian circuit with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway. While many oval fans associate this Central Florida track with mainly NASCAR, the road course has gained just as much worldwide fame thanks to it hosting motorcycles and sports cars for decades. In fact, the flagship road race, the 24 Hours of Daytona, has become a major draw for drivers of all disciplines, many eager to have a go at endurance racing. The stats make this place sound relatively simple, with 12 corners on the regular road circuit and 14 on the NASCAR version, both spread amongst 3.5 miles. Indeed, a majority of the lap is spent on the oval portion, where you fly along the notoriously steep banking. But it's easy to underestimate the challenge presented to the drivers. The infield portion begins with the scary kink entry of turn 1. Not only is it the fastest part of the track, but the transition from the banking to the flat tends to upset the car as you slow it down. There's also the bus stop chicane on the backstretch. Added in the 80s, this is a tricky piece of circuit that punishes a poor exit severely, with it leading back into the latter half of the oval. As you'd expect, the long periods on throttle mean that drafting tends to play a factor in the racing. It also means passing isn't usually too great of an issue if you have the pace to catch someone. The more difficult thing is managing to gap your opponent so that they don't ride in your slipstream once you get by. With half a century of endurance racing collected among these walls, it's not unfair to say that road racers have just as much claim to call Daytona home. Fans who come to watch certainly won't be disappointed by the high speeds and fantastic thrills it invariably provides each year.
Well, there's the track guide, and the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League is powered by DiscoveryParts. DiscoveryParts is a supporter of DCRA and brings a full range of safety gear for the members at the private track day events, which will be starting on February 27th. By bringing in a wide selection of safety gear, they make sure that DCRA members get the perfect gear the first time, every time. And with that, let's bring in DJ Clark to the booth. DJ, how are you, buddy? Good to have you alongside me. Tell the folks at home what we can expect with GTPs around Daytona.
Well, thank you so much for having me up into this booth, Alex. What they're going to expect here is a lot of speed. We're going to spend a lot of tonight talking about the draft coming through NASCAR 1 and coming through NASCAR 3 and 4. Your main overtaking opportunity, as it is with pretty much any car, is going to be going down into Turn 1, but watch for a little bit of action down into the International Horseshoe and the Western Horseshoe. The one big thing, the one big caveat, though, going into Le Mans, the old bus stop back on the back end of the track, if you try to go too wide here in these high downforce, high-speed prototypes, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble. So watch out for any kind of moves down into that area. But altogether, this is the kind of track that these cars are absolutely made for.
Completely agree with you. Of course, the circuit has been using this variation of the road course since 1985. It measures just 3.56 miles. 12 turns and all. And of course, DJ, we have to talk about the iconic banking, because when this circuit normally hosts the Daytona 500, you've got this wonderful tri-oval, but the banking, especially with the oval turns, there's a lot of steep camber to the left-hand side. 31 degrees of banking on the tri-oval, on the oval turns, 18 degrees on the tri-oval, and the backstretch, a mere 2, but at least on other parts of the circuit, it's not so much of a worry, but there is a little bit of bumpiness, a little bit of undulation as well that can sometimes catch out the drivers.
Yeah, it can definitely throw some of the drivers off, particularly as you come through turns 5 and 6 back onto the banking into NASCAR 1. That area of the track, you're making the transition from the infield road course out back on over the apron that we normally talk about for the NASCAR drivers, and then onto that high banks, and that can be a very, very sketchy area. Watch for a lot of these drivers to stick in second gear before they get out there to try to minimize any wheel spin that they may have.
Well, we're at the halfway point of this season of 2024 for the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing Series. It's a 20-minute sprint, 25-minute feature. We're into the dying moments of qualifying. Open setup for the drivers, and a drive-through penalty will be at 25x. And also, the good thing is, by having a combined dual race format, it's really going to spice things up. We've got a mix of Cadillac, Porsche, and a lone Jeff Kuntz art car special with the BMW MV8 hybrid out on circuit. Of course, the current generation of GTPs, when everyone heard that name coming back, was something that we've all been able to enjoy. And there you see our aerial shot of the Daytona International Speedway road course, and it's Jamil Gummer that leads the way in the caddy, the number 3 on a 1:32.451. Rafael Torres just 2 tenths behind. Then it's Daniel Vincent, David Madden, and Tyler Neal rounding out the top 5. 6 tenths only covering the top 4 at the moment as we go on the helicam shot here with the 100 of Daniel Vincent. One of 3 drivers going with the Porsche 963. It's always nice to have a mixture of these GTP cars, because it doesn't matter whether it's in IRL or on iRacing, they all sound awesome.
Yeah, they sound absolutely fantastic. And one of the great things here about the bringing back of the GTPs is the variance among the different types of engines that we have here. First and foremost, we've got to talk about what David Madden is driving. That is the Cadillac, that naturally aspirated V8 bellow that you are going to hear. Just take a listen to this as the Georgia driver drives through the canyon. It's just absolutely music to my ears. You've got to love it.
Going to the Rolex 24 is on the bucket list for me, and every time I see YouTube footage of that flat plane crank V8, 5.5 litres, as it roars out of pit road is just absolutely, it's animalistic, it's guttural, it pings all the senses. As David Madden, who's coming into the Le Mans chicane, originally known as the bus stop, but of course there is now has been a little bit of a nice association between Daytona and the Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans, where they both have named, there's a park called Daytona at Le Mans, and now we've got Le Mans at Daytona as well. As we have had an off, that is Daniel Vincent in the 100 Porsche, who's actually lost the car and I think has rearranged the front end coming out of the Le Mans chicane as David Madden comes across the line, just over 2/10 off of his fastest lap in the qualifying session, and Daniel Vincent brings the slightly wounded Porsche 963 back to pit road. But that Le Mans chicane, we've seen it so many times, DJ, where that car or any car going through the Le Mans chicane, if you're overcommitting, you are going to find the barriers really, really easily.
Yeah, you really and truly will. Getting a little bit too much of the curbing around this track is really going to throw you off. Here is Beisteiner right now coming across the line. Not going to be able to improve from that 7th place position. And a little bit of a lock up there coming down into turn 1. Not altogether surprising. That can get a little bit tricky. Here's Rafael Torres coming out as well in that Porsche. We talked about the Cadillac a little bit earlier, really and truly known for its straight line speed and its ability to get its way around the track in that way. The Porsche, known as being a little bit more of a better all-around car, and certainly a good all-around car, as it did just walk off the win here at the 24 Hours of Daytona not too long ago.
Yeah, one of the cars that I really have been keeping an eye on as well in the GTPs, which is now on the iRacing service, is of course the Acura that we have seen, of course, with Wayne Taylor Racing and Andretti. There's David Madden in the number 8, and he's still currently running P4 at the moment. Best lap from him so far, a 1:33.047. As we are coming down towards the last minute or so. Lord Franzi already in the chat on the GSRC YouTube channel. Good to have you with us. So if you do want to get your comments in, feel free to interact with us at the chat. Saying we want to see Tyler O'Neill, Tyler Neal, who's currently P5 in pit road at the minute. But here's Daniel Vincent in the 100, who rearranged the Porsche through the Le Mans chicane just a couple of moments ago. He's making his way towards the main part of the circuit. So of course the international side of things, when it comes to the international horseshoe, as Rafael Torres goes to pits. But that concludes qualifying, and Jamil Gummer takes pole position here for the first of 2 races for the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing Series. So it's going to be Jamil Gummer in the number 3 caddy that will have Rafael Torres in the number 6 Porsche on the front row. Then it's Porsche versus Caddy on row 2, Daniel Vincent and David Madden. Tyler Neal will be on the inside of row 3 with Philip Crane alongside in the Soul BMW. And then we've got John Beisteiner and Jason Owens rounding out an 8-strong grid. And even though there's 8 cars on the grid, there's still plenty of action to be had here tonight, DJ.
Yeah, there's still plenty of action to be had, and I think in particular with all of the different makes and models that we have, I'm interested to see what Philip Crane's going to be able to do in that BMW and what the battle between Torres and Gummer up at the front of the field is going to be. The one thing to keep in mind here, though, we've got a very, very chilly track. 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 19 Celsius. That is very much on the chilly side.
And also the wind is significant. 15 miles an hour, easterly wind. What are the drivers going to have to contend with on a particular part of the circuit, especially with a headwind? But then there'll also be the benefit of having a tailwind somewhere else.
Yeah, what that's going to do is that's going to make the draft a little bit more effective as they go. But I think the biggest thing that they're going to have to worry about here at this point is actually going to be the crosswinds coming up through the high banks as they really throw the car around. You're going to get a little bit of jostling from the car.
Yeah, Cameron Campbell in the chat saying having issues with the rig tonight, but he'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for round 4. Lord Francie, well, we've also said that Brett Ace has said loving the DuPont paint, very much of the Jeff Gordon NASCAR era, which is good to see, and that's being rocked by the number 2 of John Beisteiner in the caddy. So everyone gridded up. We're getting understarters orders as the Porsche pace car will lead them through the Le Mans chicane. And of course, here at Daytona, the important run, DJ, is that run down to the first couple of corners through T1, through T2. You've got to negotiate your way through the international horseshoe. And as I say that, we've already had a spinner on the formation, and that was Daniel Vincent, who was due to start on the outside of the front row. So Rafael Torres, who's now going to be making his way back up to the front row. That was very, very lucky for the number 6.
Yeah, very lucky indeed, going to be able to replace that position there at that point, and as if we didn't need a bigger indication of just how perilous that Le Mans chicane can be. There you go. Got to say here, I like what I'm seeing out of the 100 of Daniel Vincent, doing a little bit of brake dragging, trying to get those temperatures up to running. Good call.
Okay, so the Porsche pace car will go into pit road this time, and we are ready and set for the first of 2 races for round 3 of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing Series. And Gummer has gunned it. Green flag in the air, and they now will come across the start-finish line in the run into turn 2. Vincent and Madden nearly going side by side into turn 1. But a very clean start. Everyone's starting to try and get some traction, but in this early phase of the race here, DJ, those all-important brakes and tyres are really going to be crucial on how the cars handle over the next 19 and a half minutes.
Yeah, they're going to be very, very hard to be able to make sure that they are fully up to speed, up to temperature here at this point. But we're starting to get a little bit of a lead here as we look out the back of Daniel Vincent, trying to work his way now down through the Western Horseshoe. Whoa, big slide there from Madden behind.
Yeah, that just goes to show how easily you can be caught out, as they're going to go through T6 and 7 and onto this hefty banking here at the Daytona International Speedway road course. There's Jason Owens closing in on John Baystainer, and this is caddy versus caddy, both with naturally aspirated 5.5 litre flat plane crank V8s, and Owens has got the draft. And this is going to be very crucial. Coming down the backstretch, heading into the Le Mans chicane. He's going to pin it to the inside of the DuPont car, but not quite. Has to hold out as, oh, we've got a spinner. That is Madden, and has dropped all the way back. He managed to save it and hold it out of the barriers. Well caught.
Well caught indeed, but I'm not sure if that was just a little bit too much speed carried there into Le Mans, or if that was maybe a little bit of the curbs coming back to bite. One way or the other, here is Rafael Torres coming back around right now. Porsche versus Cadillac. The Cadillac stretching its legs a little bit over that opening stint here. Oh, but contact with the inside wall, and that's going to be a clip coming back onto the car for Torres, but certainly a little bit too close for comfort.
Yeah, Brett Ace has just gone, I thought the Madden curse was football related. Well, I guess not. But the main thing is that he's 9.5 seconds behind Gummer, who's still leading the race. There's Philip Crane in the number 5 BMW M V8 Hybrid. Of course, is now going to be running in the World Endurance Championship under Team WRT. As always, BMW very well represented at IMSA, courtesy of Team RLL. And they've got, as always, a sterling crew with the team led by Bobby Rahal every single year that the WeatherTech IMSA Sports Car Championship gets going, and that already has done so a few weeks ago at the Rolex 24. Let's have a look at the replay coming in here. So this is going to be from Madden. So he's down the back stretch, hugs the wall to the right-hand side, into the first part, straight lines it. Oh, you were right, DJ. He carried way too much speed.
Yeah, and I think that was a combination there of way too much speed and contact with that outside wall, just unsettling the car a little bit. Look at Jamel Gummer here at this point, the number 3, up to a 1.3 second advantage over the rest of the field. That's exactly the kind of running that they want to have there, and they're going to be hoping to be able to pull away.
Lap 2 in the books, as Jamil Gummer has a nearly 1.3 second advantage over Rafael Torres. Daniel Vincent in the 100 Porsche just puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.520, and he's being chased down by the number 4 Porsche of Tyler Neal, and then Philip Crane in the number 5 BMW. So the battle for P3 really starting to heat up. John Baystainer only 1.5 seconds behind. He's being closed in on by Jason Owens, and well, David Madden has just also banked the fastest lap of the race, just ripping that away, 1:33.186. But Jamil Gummer's just had a moment off track, I've just spotted. So Rafael Torres will be closing in on the number 3 Cadillac for the race lead.
Yeah, and that gap's down to 0.5 of a second here at this point, as Torres is going to be able to bring that Porsche up onto the high banks here at this point, just tucking behind in the line. He's got to watch out a little bit for Daniel Vincent there, only 1.5 seconds back. If these two start to really scrap, we could see Vincent involved in this battle as well. Here's Tyler Neal a little bit farther back in the field. That battle with the 2 and the 7 starting to come on strong. Gotta say, I do love that Rainbow Warrior livery there on base center.
Yeah, it's always nice when the wonderful art of racing liveries in the sim racing world, but we concentrate back on the race lead as Gummer and Torres are line astern coming through the banking. This is not going to be an easy one for Torres. It's easy to catch, but it's very difficult to pass as he just posts the fastest lap of the race, a 1:32.753, as we ride on board with the number 6 Porsche. Out of turn 2, on the run down to the International Horseshoe here at 3. It's a little bit tighter on the approach, and Gummer was a little bit wider, but didn't want to touch the inside curbing. Meanwhile, David Madden closing in on Baystainer, as Baystainer outbrakes himself, nearly going to the back of Owens, and Madden accidentally turns him around as a direct correlation.
Oh, and just a check up there in front. Madden not really anticipating it there, and Baystainer now going to have to regroup and try to get his way through the field, and frankly at this point hope that there's a little bit of misfortune. Oh, but Torres off into the barriers coming through turn 5.
And that Porsche is an absolute mess on the left-hand side. The back bumper is gone. The right rear upright and suspension is done. That is going to be a case of return to garage, and Torres's run within the early stages of this race, we've had just nearly 6 minutes elapsed and 14 to go. Tyler Neal trying to close in on Jason Owens for 3rd spot on the road. But that is a real unfortunate sign there for Rafael Torres. He just clipped the inside barrier coming through into T6, and that was all she wrote for the number 6 Porsche there, DJ.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Too much speed coming through that corner and throwing him off there at that point. Let's take a look here at a quick replay of exactly what happened. All right, so this is from the BMW of Philip Crane, and he could see it. Oh, great avoidance there. Oh, and there, just spun it coming around the edge.
Oh, that is cat-like reflexes there just to avoid Rafael Torres, but then trying to put the power down. Yeah, the BMW wasn't exactly cohesive with driver at that point, and that can just be... sometimes that is a case of when you're outside, you've got all the marbles, the dusty part of the circuit, and that's going to really cause problems with the traction. So, but in the meantime, David Madden on the comeback trail here, up to P5. He's chasing down Owens and Neal. So that's the number 4, the number 7, and the number 8 line astern, as they will be going on to the main part of the oval here through at T8. And this is where you get that real sense of that banking. We're gonna have a replay of a pass that we've just whilst we were catching. This is Tyler Neal on Jason Owens. Look at the speed, the closing rate, and Tyler O'Neill with full conviction, full confidence into T1 up the inside of Owens, and Madden was very quickly closing with the toe just behind.
Yeah, it was closing in there very quickly as well, and now here we go. Little bit of a bobble there, it has to be said, for Jason Owens, kind of flirting with that interior apron there, but now it looks like that the Cadillac straight line speed's going to come back into play here. Going to take a look around the outside. You can make that work. Careful, he's going to cross it back over. Back out of it, not wanting to go for it here. A little bit of a lockup just for good measure. That's going to open up the door for Dave Madden.
Great defense there by Tyler Neal to keep Owens at bay. And yet, sometimes when you're going into T1 that hot, as Madden locks up his brakes again through into the International Horseshoe, he was he was definitely keeping out of harm's way at that particular point, but nearly opened back the door again for Jason Owens to retake 4th position. But a great scrap we've got going on here for the final step on the rostrum. We've got Tyler Neal, David Madden and Jason Owens. This is going to run all the way to the checkered, I'm sure, but as they get through into T5 and T6 and 7, Madden trying to keep away from clipping that wall like we saw with Torres earlier on lap 5. Madden was very, very shrewd in what he did there. Thought, okay, right, just let the car roll a little bit further, then turn it in. And it's about those millimeters of difference that can be just so taxing, DJ, when you're that close to the wall.
Well, and speaking of those millimeters, Madden playing very, very fast and loose with track limits coming up and over Le Mans. That tells me that the number 8 is absolutely pushing here at this point. And it looks like he's been able to get a pretty good run coming out of that sequence of corners. I don't think he's going to be close enough to necessarily get this to play down into turn 1 here. Indeed, he's just going to hold behind. But Madden on a charge here, and I don't think, oh, as he checks himself up in front, that got a little bit hairy.
Yeah, that was nearly a clean-up on aisle 3 moment if he'd pitched himself front end into the barriers there. So we're just going to have a quick check on the replay here. So this is the Jeff Gordon tribute band, John Bastainer, and locks up and rearranges the front end of the number 2 Cadillac, and he's in the pits. Meanwhile, Rafael Torres has rejoined and is currently in 7th, whilst John Bastainer now repairs that heavily hit front end of that Cadillac. But still, David Madden trying to keep Tyler Neal on edge and honest at the same time. There is Rafael Torres coming through the International Horseshoe at turn 3. More than a lap down off of the leader. But still, for him to get back out on circuit is a good thing here, DJ, because with these GTP cars, you need as much seat time and track time as possible.
Yeah, you really and truly do. That's the best way to be able to just lock in on a track like Daytona. There's such a beautiful rhythm and flow around here that once you start to just kind of lock in on that, feel it out, you're going to be able to feel yourself just getting faster and faster and faster as you tick off these laps. And that's exactly what we're seeing here out of Gummer.
Yeah, and who now has, in the number 3 Caddy, a 3.1 second lead over the next car behind him, Daniel Vincent in the number 100 Porsche, as David Madden again still trying to close in on Tyler Neal. We right on board with the number 8 as we head out of turn 2 on the run down to the International Horseshoe. Hard on the brakes this time. Madden doesn't check up this time and manages to get a nice smooth power delivery out of the International Horseshoe through into the left-hand kink, heading into Western Horseshoe, so through the dogleg into the Western Horseshoe, hard on the brakes again, down the gearbox, all the way down to 2nd. Now wait, start to apply the throttle as you come through the main part of the apex. And short shifting there a little bit from 3rd to 4th to get the traction down through into turn 6, and is taking a tighter line in comparison with Tyler Neal, who's trying to use the momentum of the Porsche by running wide out of 6, carrying that speed through 7.
Yeah, it's a good call to be able to do that and try to just carry it on a little bit more if you can. I like the idea of doing it. I like the mentality of trying to be able to get that to go. So let's see if he's able to do just that. Now we watch in on Dave Madden, who equally got a great run there out of Le Mans.
Yeah, he's going for the high side as well, and they are both, you can see how loose that Cadillac is, trying to stay within a car's width of Tyler Neal. This is going to be across the start-finish line. Will the caddy have the overspeed on the Porsche heading into turn 1? No, Neal's still got the run, but Madden sends it and throws the Hail Mary round the outside, and that is a perfect personification of if you can time it right and get the overspeed and you've got the grunt like the caddy has. That was all she wrote on that one.
All she wrote indeed. Let's take a look at the replay here. Looks like Crane had a little bit of that problem here again. This is going to be him coming back through the final corners behind the BMW, and there it is, just hard contact into the outside wall.
And there's, as we would say, there's 3 wheels on that wagon because the left front is absolute nigh on separated from the chassis. So Philip Crane is going to have a long time in the pits. We've still got 6.5 minutes left to go in this first of 2 races. This is the 20-minute sprint, and then we got the 25-minute feature race coming up. But again, as the car and the track has come to David Madden, he's really been able to get that speed. Great comment by Lord Franzi in chat. The Reliant Robin weight reduction kit referenced Philip Crane's incident rearranging the front of the BMW MV8 hybrid. Daytona is out and Crane is still in pit road, so good to see that. You know, this is one of the things I like about leagues such as this, DJ, where there might not be the greatest number of drivers out on track, as we see, Daytona just rotates it through the exit of the International Horseshoe, gets the number 2 Cadillac back out on circuit heading into the dogleg. It's really good to see that these drivers will, you know, they're here to have fun. And in some ways, there's always that competitive streak with these drivers on a sim, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. It doesn't matter what kind of racing you are doing, as long as you're behind the wheel of a car, you're always going to have that racer's edge to kind of come out, to kind of bring yourself forward. And no matter what happens when you're side by side with another driver, it's no holds barred. You're going to be going for it. Good news, though, for the BMW fans. Philip Crane in that art car back out on track.
Oh, that's great. Again, just a testament to what this series means to these drivers. Of course, thank you to, I'm just going to have a look. For those wondering, if you want to follow live timing, it is pinned at the top of the YouTube chat. The first member day is actually on the 26th of February. My apologies there, Cameron, but thank you for correcting me on that. But yeah, again, another car. Of course, the BMW, the V8 is actually the engine that was used in the old DTM days when they brought out the when they had the naturally aspirated 4-litre V8 format before DTM went to Class 1 in the late 2010s. And it's actually the DTM engine that had a lot of refinement, some turbocharging added, and then for good measure you stick a hybrid unit on there, and it's another car that really does have its own unique soundtrack.
Yeah, it really and truly does. A gorgeous sounding car for that as well. Once again, the aural, spectacular soundscape that we hear from these GTPs, it's one of the things that was really highlighted when IMSA and the ACO decided to be able to put these together, as they wanted to be able to give manufacturers different ways to highlight the engines that they wanted to be able to run. Now, that combined with the fact that they are running on hybrid power plants and hybrid ways to be able to get the car forward, really and truly not only beautiful sounding in the way that they run, but also absolutely next wave technology.
Especially with the fact when they go into pit road, these cars are 100% silent until they take off the pit speed limiter and then gun it, and that's when you hear all the madness and wonderful engine cacophony. It's like it's a wonderful GTP concerto of noise. As we see David Madden, he's trying to reel in Daniel Vincent. Last time around, he was over 9/10 of a second quicker than the number 100 Porsche, who still holds on to second position. At this rate, it's not going to be enough time for David Madden to close that gap unless Daniel Vincent has a little bit of a drama. There's Tyler Neal. He's fallen a little bit further back to the tune of nearly 5 seconds adrift, but still a good showing from the number 4 Porsche. Then we've also got Jason Owens in the number 7 Caddy. He rounds out the top 5. Rafael Torres, who still at the moment holds the fastest lap of the race, 1:32.753. Philip Crane in the number 5 BMW, and John Daytona in the Rainbow Warrior number 2 Cadillac, rounding out the order. But still, we've had a lot of action despite the low numbers on the grid here today, DJ. It's been absolutely brilliant to watch.
Yeah, it's been great action up and down through the field, and I'm excited to see what this feature race is going to have in store for the rest of these drivers. I'm very curious to see if we're going to see a little bit more of them trying to get that back under them for the 25-minute race that we have coming up. Maybe we're going to see a little bit more caution, some composure out of the drivers. It's going to be absolutely very fascinating to see how it'll play out.
Yeah, and next time around will be the final lap of this opening race of round 3 of the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League here at the Daytona International Speedway road course, with these wonderful GTP machines roaring their way around the circuit. There's our race leader, Jamil Gummer, who's now coming down the backstretch, heading into the Le Mans chicane for what will be the, well, he's coming across the line, so that will be white flag in the air. The checker will be out next time around, but Jamil Gummer has done an absolutely sterling job in the number 3 Cadillac. DJ, he's led every single lap, and also, more to the point, stuck it on pole in qualifying.
Yeah, really has done a great job to be able to get that car ahead. Works his way by the Rainbow Warrior there, the number 2 of Steiner right now, to be able to get his way on by. And this is really also a testament here to the Cadillac. We talked about the straight line speed of this car, but it's also inherently understeering. And normally you'd say, well, that's a terrible thing. You want a car to be a little bit more pointy, but what that means is it's very similar to the BMW or the Mercedes AMG that we see in GT3 racing with their front engine designs, that actual inherent understeer means you're able to lean on the car a little bit more and you're able to drive it more consistently, and that's exactly what we're seeing here out of Gummer.
Yeah, so down the back stretch for what will be the final time here on lap 13 of race 1 of round 3, and Jamil Gummer nails the apexes very, very neatly through the Le Mans chicane, make his way through the final part of the triover here at Daytona, through turn 12, through turn 13. Is going to be absolutely full throttle across the line, because we have one driver that has led from lights out to checkered, and it's going to be the number 3, the Cadillac of Jamil Gummer, that will cross the line, takes the win. Daniel Vincent makes it second for Porsche in the 100, and a comeback story with one of the best overtakes of the night so far. David Madden in the number 3 Caddy. Tyler Neal brings it home in 4th on the road, a further 7.5 seconds adrift. There's Jason Owens in the number 7 Cadillac. He's making his way towards the checkered. And then we'll just have a couple more drivers left to go as John Baysteiner has parked it in pit lane. There's Philip Crane. There's the number 5 art car, which will be, there will be an art car variation, folks, for Team WRT at this year's running of the Le Mans 24 Hours, as Philip Crane will now make his way towards the checkered. He's just on his way, I think, coming through over the stripe, and that rounds out our finishing order for this one. So let's have a look at the results for race 1 of round 3 of the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League. So Jamil Gummer, after 13 laps, wins by 10.5 seconds ahead of the number 8, ahead of Daniel Vincent. David Madden rounds out the top 3 with Tyler Neal in 4th, Jason Owens 5th, Rafael Torres, Philip Crane, and John Baysteiner rounding out the 8 strong. But a great way to start up the evening here, DJ, at the World Centre of Speed. Of course, we've got another 25-minute race to go. What are your thoughts about what we've got coming up?
I think what we've got coming up is going to be a more interesting race. I think that added 5 minutes is just going to amp up the stakes here a little bit for these drivers. It's going to make things a little bit more interesting. It's going to change things around a little bit, and I think what it's really going to do is it's going to make these drivers have to commit a little bit more to not making errors. I think this is going to be a race where we are able to see a little bit more strategy playing out.
Yes, indeed, and we are waiting with bated breath here on the Global SimRacing Channel for what is going to be an exciting feature race. It's going to be 25 minutes around the Daytona International Speedway road course here on this, but we're going to go to a brief commercial break, and we'll be back right after these messages as we wait for our feature race tonight here on GSRC.
There you go.
So they can have a nice bit of GTP ASMR. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel for live coverage of round 3 of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts. You join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and DJ Clark as we are in the final throes of the second qualifying session ahead of our 25-minute feature race. And DJ, there has been a change in the air because the floodlights are lit here at the World Centre of Racing.
Yes, they are racing under the lights here at Daytona, something that is absolutely synonymous with fantastic racing action. As here is Jamel Gummer. I was about to talk about the fact that our winner from race 1 and dominant force in the Cadillac wasn't actually on top of the charts, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that Jamil heard me thinking that out and put it on to poll just to prove me wrong.
Yeah, probably Jamil had his telepathic senses all working well. David Madden, for a lot of the session, was at the top of the timesheets, currently P2 on a 1:32.939. Jamil Gummer, who led from pole position, lights out to checkered last time around on a 1:32.526. So we'll see if Madden does improve. He's improved in sector number 4 as he's about to cross the line. That particular occasion, a little bit slower on the times for the number 3 Cadillac, which was a 1:33.589. Tyler Neal is in 4th behind Rafael Torres. John Baysteiner currently 7th. Daniel Vincent yet to set an actual legal lap in qualifying. He's done nearly 6.5 laps at the moment. Every single lap has been invalidated, and that, we both know, DJ, is something you don't want happening before a race, because he's only got 2 minutes and 40 on the time left to go to put down a marker and see how far he gets up the order, if at all.
Yeah, and the good news here that Vincent is going to have underneath him is the fact that we are running in an open qualifying session, which does mean that he will be able to finish his hot lap as he comes through. Looks like he was able to get through Le Mans nice and cleanly. My sneaking suspicion is that's where he's been picking up the majority of his off tracks. Very, very easy to just kind of stray a tire off over onto the rumble strips, kick up a little bit of grass, and get an off track there at that point. But Vincent going to come to the line right now, out of NASCAR 4, through the tri-oval. Let's see if this is going to be a time on the board. Yes, it is. He's up to 4th place.
On a 1:34.088, there's Rafael Torres, who put it on the outside of the front row in the opening race, but then rearranged the left rear of that number 7 Porsche, coming through out of turn 6 on lap 5 in the first race here tonight. But after this, we will have a 25-minute feature race here at the Daytona International Speedway road course, which, as I said earlier, has been in use since 1985 as Torres goes across the line. I'm just wondering, does he improve? Well, his fastest lap so far, that's a 1:33.244, but that one was invalidated. So, as you said, rightly so, DJ, the Le Mans chicane is where the drivers really seem to try and push the envelope in terms of what they can and cannot get away with.
Yeah, I mean, that is the portion of this track where you're going to be picking it up. We watch Philip Crane right now in the BMW. Looked a little bit cautious there through Le Mans, not necessarily pushing as hard as I think he could. Maybe just trying to get a little bit of a banker lap in here in 7th. He'll be able to run the line, finish the next lap, maybe try to set himself up for a good run here. Beautiful, beautiful BMW art car here. I absolutely love the livery on this V8 prototype. He's going to come across the line. That doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement indeed. I don't think that's going to be a lap that counted. Careful down, off the mark there, a little bit wide, coming down through the first corner, but still able to gain some time back.
Yeah, drivers starting to improve on their final push laps. Daniel Vincent improves, stays 4th on a 1:33.959. Has just had an off track, so that's going to cause him problems on his final push lap. We are 10 seconds away from the checkered flying here at Daytona for our second race. There's the Rainbow Warrior DuPont liveried Cadillac of John Baysteiner in the number 5. Good to see that car. This is what I love. As I said, I always love the variances on Sim Racing liveries. There's an F4 Sprint series that I commentate on. We've got all the cars from the 90s, so like the Bidden Heroes, Jordan cars, the McLarens. We even had the I don't know if you might remember this, DJ. The time when BAR in Formula One decided to go with the 555 and the Lucky Strike split livery in Formula One.
I do indeed remember that. It was they originally tried to run 2 different cars, and the FIA cracked down on it because you had to run one single livery, and so they did the zipper car.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Baysteiner going through the Le Mans chicane, currently sitting in 8th on a 1:35.964. He's making his way through the final part of the tri-oval, so we'll see if the number 5 caddy has the legs underneath it, and he's keeping it down. He's keeping it down low, so he's going to go down onto the last part of the tri-oval, through onto the front stretch, onto the banking, and improves to a 1:35.209. Still keeps him in 8th as we are fast approaching the checkered flag. There's Jason Owens in the number 6 caddy. I do like the fact that the car on the side pods, for those that might have noticed it, it's got full course yellow racing team. Hopefully we don't have any cautions here in this 25-minute sprint race, feature race here, but that rounds out qualifying. So it's 2 for 2 for Jamil Gummer, and we're going to have David Madden in the number 3 Cadillac alongside. So slightly different composition for the front and the second rows, as we'll have Rafael Torres in the number 7 Porsche alongside the sister Porsche, the 100 of Daniel Vincent, with Tyler Neal in the number 1, Jason Owens in the number 6, with Philip Crane and John Baysteiner rounding out the 8-strong grid. Track temperature has increased to around 26 degrees Celsius, so 7 up on what we had in the sprint race a little bit earlier on. The temperatures will help with regards to those cold tyres and brakes to really get them up to temperature, DJ.
Yeah, it will. You're not going to see, I think, nearly as many little offs as you had on the first couple of laps, as drivers will be able to have and retain more heat in those tires and brakes, up to 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Interesting that it's exactly the same as it is out on the track. 7 miles an hour, 11 kilometers per hour of wind coming out of the east once again, so that's still going to be something to talk about. The other thing that's a little bit interesting is that low humidity number. That has fallen down the charts here a little bit, and I think that is actually going to maybe play bigger of an issue than we normally would think about. Is less humidity means the air is less thick, there is less of it to cut through necessarily, and so that's going to mean reduced downforce on all of these cars. Especially if you're trying to get the slipstream through the NASCAR 3 and NASCAR 4, when you're trying to get the whole shot into T1 and trying to get the run, that is going to really compromise the aerodynamic stability of being the car behind, whilst the one in front is punching a hole through that dirty air. As we are fully gridded up, we're ready, revved up to get things underway. As who's that? Oh, Philip Crane is just he decided to go before the pace car pulled away. Whoops. Just a little bit over eager there was Philip. He really wanted to get this race started and going. So they come through the Le Mans chicane, and they'll be heading through NASCAR 3 and 4, and then head on to the front stretch on the tri-oval. So it's Gummer from Madden on the front row, Torres and Vincent, Neal and Crane, Owens and Baysteiner, rounding out the 8-strong grid for race 2 of round 3 of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts here at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. And the headlights are blazing on every single one of these wonderful GTP cars, as the floodlights and the dark skies above are really going to provide us with an exciting spectacle that both myself and DJ are willingly anticipating. But again, it's that slow wait until the Porsche pace car peels into pit road, and you can see how they are all chomping at the bit. Pace car in the pit lane, and now the drivers will start to accelerate. We are green flag racing and underway, as it's a good start for the entire field, as it's nearly 3 abreast towards the back end as Gummer leads the field. Torres up the inside through T1. Great slingshot past David Madden as, oh, that's a round for Daniel Vincent into the barriers off of the exit of T1. And I think that was just a little bit of tire spin there at that point. That was a very startling off, as now Tyler Neal has had a big off coming through the International Horseshoe.
Well, this reminds me of the two Mazda MX, the Whelan. The baseline has lost it completely and has gone sideways, and he's rolling backwards. I think the right-hand side has touched the barriers on the outside of the International Horseshoe, as Gummer now being closed in on by Torres, who's hard on the brakes into T6, manages to avoid clipping the inside wall, runs wide through the mid part of the turn 6 and 7 complex, and is really starting to close in on Gummer. This is exactly what we saw in the first 4 laps of the opening race tonight here, DJ. And Torres has got the fire lit underneath the Porsche. He heads to the inside and looks to possibly go through at the Le Mans chicane, and he's going to make the move, cuts the curbing, and Torres gets up into the race lead on the opening lap.
Yeah, but had a horrible exit, including a slowdown there at that point, and look who's ready to pounce. David Madden making a challenge up at the front of the field.
Oh, he's trying to do what he did with Tyler Neal, but earlier on, and he has a slight glance with the right rear of the number 2 as the Cadillacs go wheel to wheel, side by side, over the stripe to complete this first lap of the race. And Madden again, he's trying to textbook round the outside. He can't carry it through, but can he get the switch back? Yes, he can. That's a great bit of anticipation from Madden. Overcooked it, knew he had the run, carried the momentum through. Gummerer opened up the steering and opened up the door.
Opened it up. Absolutely beautiful stuff there. There are a few moves I love to watch more than a good crossover like that. But we've got a good battle here. Jason Owens and Philip Crane right now. Crane in that BMW trying to chase down on the pink machine here as we ride on board the BMW. The number 4 thinks about a move down into the Western Horseshoe. Not going to get it to play as it's well defended in front from Jason Owens.
Yeah, Owens gets a little bit tail happy on the run out of the Western Horseshoe at T5, now into 6. Owens takes that defensive line, but Crane looking at the outside, trying to use the grunt of the V8 on the BMW, and coming out through turn 8 into turn 9, and there is Tyler Neal. Please don't make it 3 wide. He's very, very close to doing so as they come down the back stretch. Crane to the outside.
Oh,
and he's got
through! Single filed out, but look at this. We may have a little bit more action as they're side by side coming out of Le Mans right now at the moment. That's going to be Neal with a millimeter of an advantage, able to get in front of Jason Owens.
By a rat's whisker on that one. Neal was completely lit up. And look at Owens. He was bump drafting him coming across the stripe, and now he's flashing the headlights as if to say, hang on a minute, you can't do that to me. Rafael Torres, in the meantime, has Madden's got the lead. Gummer's gone off somewhere and has dropped down to 3rd. Torres still in 2nd, but is 3.6 seconds adrift.
Yeah, as they try to hold on here at this point, everything firing off on this 2nd or 3rd lap as they work their way around. Tyler Neal getting past, though, but he's going to try to put a little bit of pressure to the back right now of that GTP in front of him. Don't let that, I think I saw a sticker on there that said GT2. Don't let that fool you. Oh, but that was a wide run there for Crane, and now here comes the attack from Owens coming down into turn 6. That's not going to play itself out, but where did Crane go?
Oh, he just completely lost his exit coming out of T7 as they're coming through 8. So it's down to the inside by Owens, and he's going to get past Crane. That's for 4th. This could give the opportunity to Tyler Neal, and look at the slingshot the Porsche has got. He nearly thought about making it 3 wide by going up the inside. He's swarming all over the back of the 2 as Crane goes for absolute bravery through into the Le Mans chicane on Owens, but loses traction coming out of the Le Mans chicane. Owens back through. This is possibly going to open the door for Neal, but Crane starts to block him off early. And look at that line astern, nothing separating these 3 as they're coming across the stripe.
Oh, and that was Tyler Neal thinking about it, sending it 3 wide. He's still thinking about it. He is going to do it. Goes for the move, muscles the BMW out of the way, but not able to get it down to the inside of Jason Owens. And now there's contact on the exit of turn 1.
Oh dear, that was only going to come to blows, and as a result of that, Jason Owens gets muscled out, and then contact occurs, and Crane is now looking very, very racy indeed. He's going to try and put Tyler Neal under significant pressure for 4th spot on the road as they're coming through the dogleg through turn 4 and into the Western Horseshoe at 5. But you know what? I think they all got away with that very, very lightly indeed.
Yeah, that really had disaster written all over it in about 13 different languages, and I'm pretty thankful that they were able to escape through that without any more. But big spin up almost in front for Tyler Neal, and that's going to put him right back into play. Philip Crane says thank you very much. I'll work my way around the outside.
Yeah, it looked like a lockup on the front left by Neal when he had a bit of a tank slapper coming through out of T7. And now Crane looks like he might have just received a slowdown penalty as, well, Owens just literally went past him as if he was standing still. And yeah, Neal very, very lucky that Owens did not manage to thread it up the inside through into the Le Mans chicane. You can see that the side pod on the caddy on the left-hand side has got a little bit of an indent thanks to the contact. David Madden, who's leading now by 4.4 seconds ahead of Rafael Torres, who at this time is still running in P2, but has dropped, his pace has slightly dropped off. And there are the flash of the lights from Jason Owens to Tyler Neal. And that's not the first time that's happened in these opening 4 laps.
No, it hasn't. I think we're going to see those flashing headlights come into play more and more. Here's a look at your leader, David Madden, up at the front of the field here at this point. He's just running good laps. Last time was a 133.1, or yeah, 133.1. Now, crucially, Jamel Gummer was able to put down a 133 dead, so a little bit more speed out of the 3rd place car, but he's 6.2 seconds behind. Madden just needs to hold on and keep running the laps that he is. Torres, he looked off the pace, 33.27.
Yeah, Gummer's just put personal bests in sectors 1, 4, and 5. And Crane, oh! Big incident between Jason Owens, who goes straight into the back end of Crane, and that BMW has been completely surgically re-altered, and that was on the run out of the Western Horseshoe. Crane's going to have to return to garage on that one because that BMW is not going anywhere in that current condition.
No, it's doing its best Peugeot impression here at this point, and not a very good one, let us say. But yeah, here is Owens. I'm going to be interested to see what kind of damage is on the front of that number 6 machine, because if there was that much to the back of the BMW, I've got to imagine here that that Cadillac is feeling the pain.
Yeah, I think what we'll have to do is just keep an eye on Jason Owens' lap times because, well, Tyler Neal's last lap was a 39.2, Owens was a 39.8. Crane's last time around, because they were squabbling like 3 petulant children battling over the last swing in the playground, they were compromising themselves and lost to 8. They were hemorrhaging time. And Owens goes across the line. That was a 1:40.433. Let's have a look at this GSRC replay coming up now. Riding on board with... we're not too sure. Well, Owens, now let's just have a look at this. He's accelerating and he's hit the brakes late.
Yeah, he just missed his braking zone there. I think he just came down into the corner. And, you know, that can happen a lot of times when you've got a car in front of you, especially with the aggressive and good move that Crane sent up to the inside there. That can kind of throw you off a little bit. Normally, your braking zone coming down into turn 6 is the start of the curbing on the right-hand side of the road. That's normally where you want to spot it. And if you're looking at the car in front of you, it can kind of throw you off a little bit. And I think that's exactly what happened to him there.
Yeah. So Gummer is now closing on Torres and has just taken on the last lap over 0.3 of a second out of the number 7 Porsche. So the gap is a second as there is Philip Crane limping that BMW MV8 hybrid back to pit road. What's the gap between Gummer and Torres? Well, Torres did a 1:33.7, Gummer 0.4 quicker, 1:33.3, gap now 0.8.
Yeah, and that's really, really showed out here on the looks of it as it is. And I think for Torres, what he's got to do is just make that Porsche as wide as possible. I think at this point, he's going to be feeling the pressure from behind from Gummer. Don't really try to just focus and get that out of your rearview mirror. Run as fast as you can, but when Gummer continues to close on in, try to make that Porsche wide and try to block his path as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping an eye on the sector times. Gummer was over nearly 2.5 tenths of a second quicker just saw a little bit of a moment. Torres' back end got a little bit squirrely going outwards to the right-hand side coming out of turn 7. So that's going to lose them a little bit of time. Gummer was half a tenth quicker in sector 2, and it's sectors 4 and 5 where the Cadillac really just showcases its speed. Gummer nearly a tenth and a half up in sector 4. So this is where Gummer can really put the pedal to the metal on this flat plane crank V8, and it just sounds absolutely glorious. But the speed that he's got in that car is getting Torres very, very worried, because that gap's now down to 3/4 of a second. You can see now that Torres is going to the low side and then carry the speed through at the high side across the stripe. And again, another 2/10 out of that gap now down to 6/10. Gummer is on the warpath, and he's trying to look for his next victim, and that will be Torres, who he can literally near on grasp at the moment from a virtual perspective.
Well, and just look how much more confident Gummer was onto the brakes coming down into turn 1, was really able to just chuck that Cadillac down into the corner. It looked like Torres was a little bit tentative, a little bit not trusting of the car. Compare that.
And he's gone off.
Oh!
He's gone off, and he's in the pits. I think Torres might have just lost it going through the Western Horseshoe off of the dogleg, and has ended up in pit road. Baystein is still in the pits after 3 minutes, so not too sure if he's going to get any more running, but hopefully he does so. But that's a real shame. 2 respective times. And here's the replay that we're going to see now of Rafael Torres. So coming through into the Western Horseshoe and just goes straight on. Oh, left side, checks up to the barriers and bang. Left side again takes a whack, rear wing off, and Torres has to go into the pits again. Disaster for the number 7.
Absolute disaster, and that's not the hardest thing to do at that corner, Alex. When you're coming over that, the International and the Western Horseshoe here at Daytona have a pretty prominent crown on the surface, so that either sides of the track break away, and I think what happened there is they just missed their braking zone, did Rafael, ever so slightly, carried on the momentum over that crown a little bit, and that just got him out onto the grass, and once you're out onto the grass, it's pretty much story over around the Western Horseshoe.
Yeah, it's a real shame for Rafael Torres, just having a second drama in 2 successive races, having been running at the sharp end of the field. And here is David Madden. He's got a 6-second gap ahead of Jamil Gummer, who still is putting in respective lap times, but cannot really match the pace of Madden, as we still have 11.5 minutes of this 25-minute feature race to go. And, well, we did say that, well, Gummer for both races has put it on pole position, but this second race has been a completely different story, dropping the ball did Gummer earlier on in the race, and that allowed Madden, who was alongside him on the front row, to get the race lead, and has pretty much at this moment checked out with a 7-second gap at the moment ahead of the number 2.
Yeah, and just going to try to hold on to it here at this point. I mean, a 6-second gap is nothing to shake a stick at, especially at this point in the race. So they're going to be hoping to just hold on as much as possible and not make any mistakes. Only 11 minutes left to go on the clock. That is certainly able to be held in at this point, and I think this is good running for David Madden.
Yeah, and it'll be a nice way to round off the evening for the number 3 Cadillac. So it is a Cadillac 1-2. Tyler Neal up 2 spots from 5th on the grid. He's currently running P3, 17 seconds behind Gummer, who we are currently looking at out on track as he's making his way into the International Horseshoe at 3. And again, that wonderful, wonderful rumble of that Cadillac naturally aspirated V8 just sends chills down my spine every time.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. It's one of my favorite things, really and truly, just hearing that car be able to rumble around here. I am very, very much looking forward to finally being able to see that beautiful machine in real life when I get to go to the Battle of the Bricks later on this year.
Yeah. So there is the number 1 out of the International Horseshoe heading down into the dogleg, as we see some local airport traffic making its way out through the back part of the skyline there. through the back part of turn 5 at the Western Horseshoe as Tyler O'Neill makes his way through T8. There's Jason Owens, the number 6 car, currently running in P4. Philip Crane has rejoined and is over a lap and a half down off of David Madden. There's Daniel Vincent, who has rejoined the circuit after 3 minutes and 10 in the pits. John Baysteiner in the Rainbow Warrior Cadillac in the number 5. I don't think maybe coming out... Sorry, I didn't mean to say Tyler O'Neill. I know someone who is called Tyler O'Neill, so my apologies. Tyler Neal is the 3rd. It's always funny when I always have to keep an eye on YouTube chat because you never know when you might make a bit of a faux pas, so to speak. So my apologies there. Baysteiner yet to come out of pit lane, but might be doing so. He's been in the pits for 7 minutes. There was a lot of damage to that car after he went off track.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of damage, and I'm not sure what the spare car rules are in this series necessarily, but here is Daniel Vincent in 7th place right now. That Porsche starting to close on in, and a good battle taking place here as he closes in on the back of a lone BMW in the field, Philip Crane.
Yeah, Crane running a little bit wide through T1, but manages to gather back up as he puts the power down. We've got this nice rear cam shot from the rear part of the BMW M V8 Hybrid GTP. As Philip Crane closes up in the braking zone, then they're going to come out of the International Horseshoe and then into the dogleg here at turn 4. Very fast left-hand kick. You've got to be very, very quick to react and then put the anchors on. As Philip Crane tries to rotate the car in, Vincent has a bit of a tighter line through the Western Horseshoe, and he's looking toward. Well, he was showing his nose to Philip Crane there a little bit, heading into turn 6, as if to let him know that he's just there.
Yeah, just trying to see if he is able to maybe force a little bit of an error there out of the BMW driver. I like that little bit of a heads up there at that point. Try to see if he can get that mistake forced here out of Philip Crane. That's the easiest way to get on by, is force that driver in front of you to make an error.
Yeah, and that gap is coming down all the time as Vincent really does have a good lick of speed in that number 4 Porsche. As they come through NASCAR 3 and into NASCAR 4 before crossing the stripe. We are now on lap number 12 of this race with just over 7 minutes plus change on the timer, and Madden looking to make it 2 different winners from 2 different races here tonight, but Gummer still trying to push the number 2 caddy to its absolute limit, and hopefully not beyond that, as Vincent gets a bit closer to Crane in the braking zone through T1. They're going to run nearly side by side. Oh, a little bit of a slight cut there through turn 2 by Vincent, and he sends it and then barrel rolls and side checks and removes the front bumper for Philip Crane, who again has, that's his second big incident. One with Jason Owens in the number 6, and then Daniel Vincent completely checks up on him, nigh on T-bones him, and that BMW has seen better days.
Yeah, it certainly has. Unfortunately, a little bit like the run the BMW had at the 24 Hours of Daytona last year, where it just seems like they really couldn't get a whole lot of anything right. But he'll be back to fight another day, rest assured. There's still plenty of speed to be had there for Philip Crane. He's got 3.9 seconds to try to make down, but he has got a lot of time if he wants to even have a hope of closing down. 6 minutes left to go. Dave Madden up at the front of the field. 6.7 seconds the gap between himself and Jamil Gummer.
Yeah, the pace of both Gummer and Madden in the respective races have been absolutely textbook. The minute they got the sniff of the opportunity to go for the W, they have taken 100% full advantage of it, as Madden makes his way through into turn 6 and 7. This time takes it nice and neatly on the inside curbing, runs the car a little bit wide to get the good carry through out of 7 into 8, and again this banking, we saw Madden and Gummer earlier on in this race, you know, nearly checking up front to rear bumpers as Madden was going for the race lead, and then Gummer just falls off a cliff and drops down to P3. Madden's really been the overtaking personality of today's 2 races, DJ, I think.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, put the moves on when they needed to, looked absolutely calm, cool, and collected under pressure. It has been a pretty good affair here for Madden. And let's not forget Jamil Gummer making that mistake early on, finding themselves a little bit farther back down through the order. But I'm impressed with both of these drivers and their form here.
Likewise. It just has been the case of just making the best of the situation that is presented in front of you. You know, we have to look at the fact that Madden had to come back from drama in the opening race and then has just decided to put in a textbook performance. And Gummer really has had no specific answer, but also with the fact that we've had two different races in two different sets of lighting conditions, with the floodlights being ablaze here at the Daytona International Speedway, and then we had you know, a sort of a half sunny, half cloudy race one. But here it just goes to show that if we were in the pitch of night here at Daytona, we know for a fact that it doesn't matter whether you're IRL or you're on iRacing, Daytona is a fearsome beast to conquer in any sort of situation that you find yourself in, no matter the weather, no matter the lighting, and no matter who your competition is.
Very much so. And, you know, we often think about Daytona not really in those terms. I mean, yes, it's the traditional kickoff to racing season. It begins in January, but we often think about it not really as one of the more difficult tracks to be able to run, and that's really not the case. From the Le Mans chicane down into the very tricky braking zone of turn one, nearly every corner on this track, you're very rarely braking in a straight line. It's very tricky to try to get the car to come and get the good rotation that you need. It is very, very difficult to get right, and any driver that's just able to complete a lap around here under good speed is impressive in and of itself.
Yeah, so coming down to the final 3 minutes. So we're now on to lap number 15 here at Daytona. And of course, there's more action coming up on the Global SimRacing Channel broadcasts over the coming days and weeks. And of course, we'll be back with the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter Series in a fortnight's time. And we'll give you details of when you can catch all the action on that here on GSRC. But yeah, Tyler O'Neill looking to go one better, started 5th, currently running in a solid P3. And Brett Ace going, so where's this killer move? I'm still waiting for it. Well, we may see some killer moves at where we might be going next time in a couple of weeks. But there's Jason Owens running at P4. But Philip Crane is only 2 seconds behind him and is running quite well. He just took a second and a half in it on him on that previous lap. So more than that, actually. It was a 1:38.3 for Owens, 1:34.9 for Philip Crane. So could we see a pretty decent and clean overtake from Philip Crane in the number 4 BMW? Because there is still just over 1 minute and 35 to go. There's Madden. He's crossing the stripe now. And I think we've got this and one more to go. So I think we've got 2 to go, including this one, DJ, because he was a couple of seconds. So by a whisker, Madden brings us on to the penultimate lap, lap 16 out of 17 here at Daytona.
All right, so he's going to do that. And yeah, I think that's good news for Philip Crane. Again, great pace here out of that BMW number 4 machine to be able to close on in. Going to see that car of Jason Owens in front of him, 1.3 seconds the gap. I don't think he's necessarily going to be feeling the full effect of the draft, but let's watch him as he comes down here out of the Le Mans chicane. Going to get that power down here as he goes. He's got it down under. Oh, that may have been a cut course penalty.
That could initiate a slowdown very, very shortly, but he's only a second behind, as Madden's now 50% of the way through this penultimate lap of this race. We've got 38 seconds on the timer, so Crane will now know he's got everything. He's got everything to play for, nothing to lose, everything to gain, as that gap is coming down 0.6 into the braking zone. Who's going to be tighter on the apex? It is Crane through turn 1 now. Look at the closing rate that Crane has got. He was fully committed into T1, now into the International Horseshoe. He's less than a couple of car lengths behind Owens. Madden's making his way down in towards the main part of the tri-oval on the front stretch, so it's going to be, it's over.
Oh,
I didn't see final lap showing up on the timer. So Madden's going to take it. Gummer's going to take second. Tyler Neal's going to take third. Owens and Crane. Now, what has happened to Crane? Because, like, literally, has he had a? I'm not too sure if he's had a disconnect, but Crane's come across the line. Owens has come across the line, takes fourth. Neal will be taking third. Sorry. So, but according to my timing screen, well, there's Neal. He's got third. Owens has got fourth in the bag, has he? Well, he's got... I'm not too sure what's happened with Crane because we can't see him out on track. So whether he's had a disconnect at this late stage of the race whilst trying to push Jason Owens. So Owens is going to come through the tri-oval now. And he's about 10% left of the race lap to go. And Jason Owens, in the number 6 caddy, is going to pick up fourth on the road. And that has been a bit of a disaster there for Philip Crane because he was on the final lap. And that is that. So 2 different winners from 2 different races tonight here, DJ. And a bit of drama surrounding Philip Crane in that final race.
yeah, not entirely sure what happened there regarding him. He is going to lose positions there as a result of that dropping all the way down on our timing and scoring through the order.
So David Madden picks up the win from starting second on the outside of pole sitter Jamil Gummer, who takes P2, 8.2 seconds behind the number 3. Tyler Neal in the number 1 Porsche rounds out the rostrum in this feature race with Jason Owens, Rafael Torres, Daniel Vincent, John Baysteiner and Philip Crane, according to this, showing 6 laps down, which wasn't the case. I mean, he should be finishing in 5th, but of course, these results that are being shown on the screens at the moment, folks, are provisional, pending any discussions post-race evening. But DJ, what a wonderful day of racing here at the Daytona International Speedway for round 3 of the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing that you really want to be able to see here when you come to Daytona. Prototypes at full chat, working their way around this storied circuit. It doesn't get a whole lot better than this.
Yeah, I think we might be... Let's see if we can... we might have a driver actually ready for an interview. And I would understand, is that David Madden, our Race 2 winner we have with us this evening?
It is. How's it going, guys?
Well, congratulations on your win in the feature, David. Pretty good run. Kept it nice and clean and calm and finished 8.2 seconds up the road from Jamil in the second race. But let's talk about race 1. It wasn't exactly the best start, was it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, it's a 20-minute race, so I just try to stay out of trouble. And it was the bus stop, right? So I just totally lost control of the bus stop on lap 1, and that was good for a laugh. That was good for a laugh. The group has another Discord chat going, and so as soon as I lost it, I was like, "Okay, watch out, boys! Here I come."
Mm-hmm. And then you did, and you finished really, really well in that first race. But then to pick up the W in race 2, it was just keeping a calm head on cool shoulders, wasn't it?
Yep. Just I guess I got kind of lucky. I think a couple of the guys got penalties early on. Looked like they had slowdown penalties in the bus stop, and I managed to avoid a time penalty in the bus stop tonight, even though we actually, I think all of us practiced on the new Daytona track, not the old one. So we were just a little caught out. Like the line through the bus stop's definitely different.
Well, we've actually got a question from Brett Ace in YouTube chat for you, David. He said, with the last name of Madden, and of course anyone who knows their NFL, what's it like to not get the Madden curse and win race 2? It had to feel good, right?
That's a good one. Yeah, it did. It always feels good to get a win.
And of course, last time out you guys were racing at Sebring in the GT3s. What's been the biggest challenge for you all going from a spec GT3 series that is known across the world to these absolute brutes of these GTPs, because they just sound awesome, they look cool as well?
Yeah, they're fun to drive. It's definitely a learning curve. I mean, I've got a lot more experience behind the GT3, and I like that we mix it up and they throw in a faster car here at the end. They're a lot of fun. I like the Cadillac. I messed around with the Acura, but I just couldn't get a good time with it. Not on Daytona. So, there's definitely some adjustment. I missed the Sebring race. I was out of town, but these are tracks that we practice pretty regularly. We're out of the Southeast, so we like to practice the Southeast tracks.
Brilliant. Well, David, congratulations on your results tonight, and thanks for jumping in the booth to have a chat with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, it was pretty good to hear from David there, DJ. And also it was nice for him to talk about the fact that he couldn't get a lap time reflective enough of what the Caddy could do, because the Acura has only just been a recent addition to the iRacing service, but nevertheless, he absolutely monstered it here tonight.
Yeah, certainly did. And I think that has a little bit to do with what we talked about, that predictability of the Cadillac. The Acura, a little bit more pointier of a machine, tends to be really, really good at low-speed rotation, but the result of that, the bad part of that, is that it can come back to bite you pretty quickly. So not altogether unsurprising to hear that, but clearly one in and of that Cadillac did a great job here tonight.
Well, that's it from us here on the Global SimRacing channel for round 3 of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts. Big thank you to the team today, to DJ, to Daniel, and of course to Dougie. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. Don't forget to check out our social media channels, our website, our merch store, listed on the screen. And whilst you're at it, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Of course, our next race for the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League will take place in the Lone Star State at Circuit of the Americas on Tuesday, February 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, be sure to check out all the other broadcasts that you're seeing listed on your screen right now. Until next time, if in doubt, flat out, and we'll see you out on track for more full throttle racing action. Goodbye.